When it comes to fat burning, timing your protein is just as important as how much you eat. Think of your metabolism like a rhythm, not a math equation. Every meal sends signals through your hormones, especially insulin, glucagon, and growth hormone, that decide whether your body stores or burns fat. When you eat protein at the right times, insulin stays balanced, glucagon stays active, and growth hormone can do its job repairing and rebuilding muscle while tapping into fat for energy. But when protein timing is off, even the healthiest meal can backfire. Insulin rises every time you eat, even from protein. That's normal. It helps move amino acids into your muscles. But if protein is eaten too frequently or too late at night, insulin stays elevated for too long, and your body never gets the message to switch into fat burning mode. Glucagon, the hormone that unlocks stored fat, works best when insulin is low. When insulin and glucagon fight for control all day, your metabolism stays confused, like a drummer playing out of sync with the rest of the band. Eating protein too early without balanced energy, or saving it all for one heavy dinner, also throws off this rhythm. Early in the day, your body needs protein to stabilize energy and control cravings. Late at night, heavy protein can raise insulin just when your body should be releasing growth hormone for repair and overnight fat burning. The goal is to feed your metabolism in a pattern, not overload it all at once, and not starve it for too long. Perfect macros don't matter if your timing keeps insulin bouncing up and down. Stable hormones create a steady rhythm, and that's the rhythm your body needs to finally start burning fat instead of storing it. Imagine your hormones as a chain of switches that control what your body does with food, store it or burn it. Insulin, cortisol, ghrelin, and GLP-1 all work together in a delicate pattern like gears in a clock. When one turns too fast or too slow, the whole system falls out of sync, and belly fat becomes nearly impossible to lose. Protein plays a major role in this hormonal rhythm, but when it's eaten at the wrong times, it can quietly disrupt everything. Insulin is the main switch. Think of it as a light switch. It's either on or off. When it's on, your body is storing energy. When it's off, your body can burn stored fat. Every bite of food flips that switch on to some degree. Protein, especially animal-based sources, naturally raises insulin just enough to shuttle nutrients into muscle cells. That's a good thing, but only when the timing allows the switch to turn back off afterward. When you eat protein too close to bedtime, or too often throughout the day, insulin stays on longer than it should. The longer that switch stays on, the less time your body spends in fat burning mode overnight. Then there's cortisol, your body's stress hormone. It naturally rises in the morning to wake you up and gently drops through the day. But when you skip protein early, your cortisol stays high longer, driving cravings for quick carbs later. High cortisol also pushes more glucose into your blood, which forces insulin to rise again, repeating the storage cycle. If insulin is the on-off switch, cortisol is the finger that keeps flipping it back on, especially when you're under stress or your meals are mistimed. Next in the chain comes ghrelin, the hunger signal. Ghrelin rises before meals and falls once you've eaten. When you miss protein in the morning, ghrelin spikes higher and stays high, making you hungrier throughout the day. That leads to overeating later, especially on carbs. Late-night protein or large meals can confuse this rhythm too, keeping ghrelin suppressed when it should rise and flattening your natural hunger cues. The result is that you start eating by the clock or habit instead of genuine hunger. Another way your hormonal rhythm gets lost. Now, let's add GLP-1, a powerful hormone that slows digestion and helps control appetite. Balanced protein intake boosts GLP-1 levels naturally, helping you feel full longer. But irregular protein timing, like skipping breakfast or eating most of your protein right before bed, can dull this response. When GLP-1 drops, you lose that sense of satisfaction from meals, leading to snacking and overeating. The more your GLP-1 rhythm flattens, the harder it becomes to stay in a fat-burning state, because your insulin and cortisol stay active too long. All these hormones form a loop that runs through your day and night. When it flows smoothly, your metabolism stays balanced. Insulin dips low enough for fat burning, cortisol supports energy without stress, ghrelin rises and falls predictably, and GLP-1 keeps cravings under control. But when protein timing is off, when you skip it in the morning, graze all day, or eat it right before sleep, the loop breaks. Insulin stays elevated, cortisol stays high, ghrelin stays noisy, and GLP-1 quiets down. The chain reaction keeps your body locked in storage mode, even if you're eating clean and watching calories. This imbalance is what fuels visceral fat, the deep, stubborn fat that wraps around your organs. Visceral fat isn't just extra weight, it's hormonally active tissue. It releases inflammatory signals that raise cortisol and insulin even more, keeping you trapped in a self-reinforcing cycle. The more this internal fat grows, the more your hormones resist balance, and the more your body clings to it for safety. This is why calorie counting or even macro balancing often fails. Because the timing of insulin spikes matters more than the total calories themselves. Picture your metabolism as a 24-hour rhythm. Morning is for turning energy on, night is for turning it off. When insulin, cortisol, ghrelin, and GLP-1 stay in sync with that rhythm, fat burning becomes effortless and natural. But when protein timing flips one switch too early or too late, it's like keeping the lights on all night. Your body never rests, your hormones never reset, and belly fat becomes the unfortunate storage site for all that metabolic noise. The biggest protein timing mistake that keeps most people out of fat burning mode isn't about what they eat. It's when they eat it. Most people assume that as long as they hit their daily protein goal, they're supporting muscle and metabolism. But timing protein too late in the day or breaking a fast the wrong way can completely reverse the fat burning process. Your body's ability to burn fat isn't constant. It runs on a rhythm guided by your hormones. When that rhythm is disrupted by poor protein timing, your metabolism flips from burn mode to store mode without you realizing it. One of the most common mistakes is eating a large protein meal late at night, especially after 9 p.m. At that time, your metabolism is naturally slowing down, your insulin sensitivity is dropping, and your body is preparing for repair, not digestion. When you flood it with protein, particularly alongside carbs or fats, insulin rises sharply to handle the amino acids. But instead of using them for muscle building or energy, your body stores the excess and suppresses growth hormone release. Growth hormone is one of your most powerful fat-burning hormones, and it peaks during deep sleep, but only if insulin is low. A late-night protein meal keeps insulin high just when growth hormone should be doing its work, shutting down overnight fat oxidation. Another mistake is breaking a fast with carbs before protein. After fasting, your body is highly insulin sensitive. The first food you eat determines the hormonal direction for the next several hours. If you eat carbs first, even healthy ones, insulin spikes immediately and halts fat burning. Then when you add protein afterward, your body stays stuck in storage mode longer. The better approach is the opposite. Break your fast with protein first, then add fiber or healthy fats. That sequence keeps insulin lower, glucagon higher, and your metabolism in a fat-burning rhythm. To understand why timing matters more than total intake, think of insulin as a gatekeeper. When you eat protein earlier in the day, your insulin rises slightly but returns to baseline faster, allowing for longer fat-burning windows between meals. When you eat protein too late, insulin rises when it shouldn't, during your body's rest and repair phase. That not only halts fat burning, but can also interfere with sleep, recovery, and appetite signals the next day. Studies show that people who consume most of their protein earlier, at breakfast or midday, experience higher fat oxidation rates, better insulin control, and more stable energy levels than those who backload their protein in the evening. For example, eating a balanced protein meal at noon helps keep cortisol and insulin in sync. Cortisol is naturally higher earlier in the day, making your body more efficient at using protein for repair and energy rather than storage. But that same meal eaten at 10 p.m. has a different hormonal effect. Insulin spikes higher, cortisol drops lower, and your body prioritizes storing rather than burning fuel. The same food, completely different result, simply because of timing. Many people also make the mistake of spacing protein unevenly, having almost none in the morning and too much at night. This creates long gaps without amino acid support, which signals your body to conserve rather than burn. By the time dinner comes, your metabolism is desperate for nutrients, so insulin surges to absorb everything. That late spike not only stalls fat loss, but can also lead to nighttime hunger, poor sleep, and morning grogginess. Balanced, rhythmic intake throughout the day, moderate protein earlier, steady amounts through midday, and lighter intake in the evening keeps your hormonal switches aligned for fat use rather than fat storage. Even research on circadian rhythms supports this idea. Studies have found that fat oxidation, your body's ability to burn fat for fuel, peaks in the morning and declines as the day goes on. When protein is consumed earlier, it supports muscle repair and metabolic activation while aligning with your body's natural insulin sensitivity curve. But when that same protein is pushed late into the night, insulin remains elevated through sleep, blocking the release of growth hormone and suppressing nighttime fat burning by as much as 70%. So if you've been working hard on your diet, counting macros, and hitting your protein goals, but still struggling with stubborn belly fat, the problem isn't quantity, it's timing. The truth is, you could be eating perfectly, but signaling your body to store instead of burn simply by when you eat. The easiest fix isn't to eat more protein, but to shift it earlier, within your first 2 meals. And let your hormones guide the rhythm. It's not about eating more protein. It's about eating it when your hormones can actually use it. Your metabolism thrives on rhythm, not randomness. And that rhythm is driven by when and how you eat protein. The protein rhythm method is built around one simple truth. Your hormones, especially insulin, glucagon, and growth hormone, respond more to timing and sequence than total calories. When you eat protein at consistent intervals, you stabilize insulin, preserve lean muscle, and keep your metabolism in a fat-burning state for longer stretches of the day. When you eat erratically, your hormones can't predict what's coming, and your body defaults to storage mode. Think of the protein rhythm method as setting your internal clock. Your body likes predictability. It wants to know when fuel is coming so it can prepare hormones to respond efficiently. The rhythm works best in 3 phases: morning, midday, and evening. Morning protein helps regulate cortisol and blood sugar after an overnight fast. Midday protein keeps your energy stable and muscles fed. Evening protein supports repair and recovery without spiking insulin too high. When these 3 moments are balanced, you create a metabolic pattern that burns fat in between meals and builds lean tissue during feeding windows. If you practice fasting, timing your protein becomes even more powerful. When you break a fast, the first thing you eat determines how your hormones behave for the next few hours. Breaking your fast with protein first, not carbs, sets insulin on a gentle rise and activates glucagon, the hormone that releases stored fat. The best way to extend fat burning is to start your meal with pure protein and maybe a small amount of fat before introducing carbs. For example, if you break your fast at noon, start with eggs, cottage cheese, or a protein shake. Wait 10 to 15 minutes, then add vegetables, healthy fats like avocado, or slow-digesting carbs. This sequence keeps insulin steady and signals your body to stay in a fat-burning rhythm longer. A practical daily rhythm might look like this. If you eat breakfast, aim to have 25 to 30 grams of protein within 1 hour of waking, something like eggs, Greek yogurt, or a protein smoothie with fiber. If you skip breakfast and follow an intermittent fasting window, break your fast at noon with protein first, then build the rest of your meal around it. Your second meal, ideally mid-afternoon or early evening, should include another 25 to 30 grams of protein with moderate fat and low glycemic carbs. Try to finish eating 2 to 3 hours before bed so your insulin can drop and growth hormone can rise during sleep. Spacing your protein evenly across the day is key to maintaining insulin stability. When protein intake is bunched together, for instance, having little to none early and a large amount at dinner, insulin spikes harder at night, which blocks nighttime fat burning. But when protein is spaced evenly, insulin rises and falls gently, creating more frequent off periods where your body burns fat. Think of it as creating waves instead of spikes, smooth, predictable rises followed by calm, steady declines. That's the rhythm your hormones understand best. Sequence matters as much as timing. Eating in the order of protein, fat, carbs creates a more favorable insulin curve. When you eat protein first, insulin rises slowly, signaling the body to absorb nutrients without flooding the bloodstream with glucose. Adding healthy fats next slows digestion, extending satiety. Carbs eaten last are digested more gradually, preventing sharp spikes in blood sugar. This sequence can cut post-meal insulin and glucose spikes by as much as 30 to 40%. According to clinical studies, that difference keeps your metabolism in a fat-burning pattern rather than swinging into storage mode. Your daily rhythm doesn't have to be rigid. It just needs consistency. If you prefer 2 meals, make them protein-centered. If you eat 3, keep protein roughly equal in each. Morning protein supports energy and alertness. Midday protein protects lean mass and curbs cravings. Evening protein, when moderate and timed a few hours before bed, supports muscle recovery without disrupting sleep or fat oxidation. Even during fasting windows, your body continues to follow a hormonal rhythm. The protein rhythm method uses that rhythm to your advantage. You're not eating more protein. You're simply eating it when your hormones can use it best. Morning or midday intake keeps cortisol and insulin aligned, while early evening intake supports recovery and balances nighttime growth hormone release. Following this simple rhythm trains your metabolism to stay in sync, reduces cravings, and keeps you in fat-burning mode longer each day. When your meals follow the protein rhythm method, you stop fighting your hormones and start working with them. Protein becomes your signal for stability. It sets the tempo for insulin, guides glucagon, and protects muscle even in a calorie deficit. The secret isn't in eating perfectly or cutting harder. It's in creating a rhythm your body trusts. Once that rhythm locks in, fat loss stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like momentum. When you start timing protein correctly, your body doesn't just lose weight, it changes how it uses energy altogether. Smart protein timing restores the hormonal balance that flips your metabolism from store to burn. The constant tug of war between insulin, cortisol, and hunger hormones begins to ease, and your body finally starts to trust that energy is available when it's needed. That trust is what allows it to release stored fat, especially visceral fat, instead of clinging to it for protection. The change doesn't happen because you eat less. It happens because you're eating in sync with your hormones. When insulin stabilizes, everything else falls into place. Insulin's job is to move nutrients into cells, but when it's elevated too often, it blocks fat from being released. By spacing protein evenly and avoiding late-night spikes, you give insulin time to drop between meals. That drop signals glucagon, the hormone that tells your body to unlock stored energy, to step in. Once glucagon becomes active, your body shifts its fuel source from glucose to fat. At first, it draws from surface fat, the softer, more accessible stores, but as your insulin rhythm becomes more consistent, it starts to pull energy from deeper, more stubborn areas like visceral fat. Visceral fat is the internal fat that surrounds your organs, and it's metabolically active. It releases signals that raise inflammation and cortisol, making fat loss even harder. When you correct protein timing, insulin quiets down, cortisol begins to normalize, and those inflammatory signals fade. The process feels like your metabolism waking up after years of static. You're no longer forcing fat loss, your body is finally cooperating. People often notice the first signs not on the scale but in their energy. Steady focus, fewer cravings, and a lighter feeling around the waistline, even before major weight changes appear. Imagine Sarah, a 42-year-old teacher who eats a healthy diet but can't lose her belly fat despite exercising regularly. She skips breakfast, breaks her fast with a smoothie full of fruit and oats, and saves her protein for dinner. Her insulin spikes mid-morning, crashes mid-afternoon, and stays high at night, trapping her metabolism in storage mode. When she shifts to breaking her fast with protein, 2 boiled eggs and a protein shake, her energy stays steady. Her hunger signals stabilize, her late-night snacking fades, and within weeks, her waist starts to tighten. She's not eating fewer calories, just following a rhythm her hormones recognize. Or picture David, a 50-year-old office worker who lifts weights and counts macros, but eats most of his protein late at night after training. His sleep is restless, his progress stalls, and his belly fat refuses to budge. When he moves his main protein meal to midday and uses a smaller recovery shake post-workout, his sleep improves, his morning energy spikes, and his midsection begins to lean out. The reason isn't more protein. It's smarter timing that lets his insulin drop before bed, allowing growth hormone to repair muscle and tap into stored fat while he sleeps. The transformation that comes from protein rhythm isn't just physical, it's metabolic clarity. Stable insulin reduces the roller coaster of hunger hormones like ghrelin, while balanced cortisol supports steady energy and mental calm. GLP-1, the hormone that promotes satiety, rises naturally with consistent protein intake, so you feel full longer without relying on willpower. The need for constant snacking fades because your body isn't searching for balance. It already has it. You begin to notice that your cravings are no longer running the show. Instead of fighting against hunger, you start feeling in control. Your meals satisfy you, your energy lasts, and your body stops sending panic signals for sugar or quick fixes. That's what hormonal alignment feels like, effortless balance. The deeper benefit is that once visceral fat starts to shrink, inflammation decreases, blood sugar stabilizes, and your risk of metabolic diseases drops dramatically. Your body becomes more efficient at using food for energy and storing less of it as fat. Every part of this process comes back to rhythm, not restriction. When protein arrives at the right time, insulin behaves as it should, rising gently, falling fully, and creating the space for fat metabolism to take over. Once this rhythm becomes habit, your body learns to keep burning fat between meals and overnight without extra effort. You're not fighting biology anymore, you're working with it. The transformation isn't about eating a perfect diet. It's about understanding timing as the missing key. Most people aren't eating wrong, they're just eating out of sync. When you bring rhythm back to your meals, everything else aligns. Hormones, energy, focus, sleep, and fat metabolism. The deeper fat that once resisted change begins to melt away because your body finally feels safe to let it go. That's the quiet power of smart protein timing. It doesn't force fat loss. It restores the balance that makes fat loss natural again. You're not eating wrong. You're just out of rhythm, and rhythm is everything. Protein timing isn't about following another strict diet rule. It's about finding your rhythm. Your metabolism runs on patterns, not perfection, and when your protein intake aligns with those patterns, everything starts to flow. You burn fat more easily, your energy stabilizes, your hunger quiets down, and your body finally feels like it's working with you instead of against you. The idea is simple. Eat protein in a way that keeps your hormones balanced, your insulin calm, and your fat metabolism switched on throughout the day. To turn protein timing into a sustainable lifestyle, you need to make rhythm part of your daily flow. The first step is spacing protein evenly. Instead of saving it all for dinner or skipping it early, aim to include a moderate portion in every main meal. That could look like 25 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast or your first meal, another similar amount at lunch, and a lighter serving in the evening. This spacing prevents insulin spikes and drops, creating a steady hormonal rhythm that keeps your body in fat, burning mode between meals. Think of it like feeding your metabolism gentle, predictable beats instead of sudden bursts. Next is learning how to break a fast smartly. Whether you fast for 12 hours or 16, the first thing you eat matters most. Breaking your fast with carbs, even healthy ones like fruit or oats, tells your body to store energy first. Breaking it with protein tells your body to stabilize hormones and use stored energy. Start with a protein first meal, eggs, a shake, cottage cheese, or lean meat, then follow with healthy fats like avocado or nuts, and finally add slow carbs like vegetables or berries. That simple sequence, protein, fat, carbs, keeps insulin low and extends the fat burning window naturally without effort or restriction. Keeping insulin calm isn't about eliminating carbs or cutting calories, it's about balance. Avoid long stretches of low protein intake followed by heavy, late night meals. Finish eating at least 2 to 3 hours before bed so insulin can fall and growth hormone can rise while you sleep. That's when deep repair and fat burning happen. Consistency is what trains your metabolism to stay in rhythm. When your body knows when to expect protein, it knows when to release insulin, glucagon, and growth hormone efficiently. Over time, this rhythm becomes automatic and your body becomes metabolically flexible, easily switching between burning glucose and burning fat depending on your needs. Supporting this rhythm requires more than just meal timing. Your lifestyle habits matter too. Hydration keeps your metabolism running smoothly and helps your body process protein efficiently. Aim for steady water intake through the day, especially between meals, to support digestion and fat oxidation. Sleep is equally critical. Most of your fat-burning hormones, especially growth hormone, peak during deep sleep. Late night eating or poor sleep timing can disrupt this, even if your diet is perfect. Set a goal to stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed and create a calming sleep routine that signals your body it's time to restore. Stress control ties directly into hormonal balance. High cortisol can raise blood sugar and insulin, canceling out the benefits of good protein timing. Simple habits like deep breathing, walking, or journaling can help lower cortisol and keep your metabolism stable. Mindful eating also helps. Slow down, chew your food thoroughly, and avoid distractions. This improves digestion, nutrient absorption, and satiety signals, helping you naturally eat in rhythm with your body's cues. The beauty of protein timing is that it becomes effortless once you feel the difference. You'll start noticing that your hunger fades between meals, your cravings lessen, and your energy lasts longer through the day. That's how you know your hormones are sensing up again. Fat loss stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like freedom. Not because you're eating less, but because your body is finally using what you eat efficiently. You don't have to hit perfection, just consistency. You can still enjoy social meals, travel, or flexible fasting. As long as your overall rhythm stays intact, steady protein intake, calm insulin, early finishes, your body will continue to burn fat and preserve lean muscle naturally. The goal isn't to follow a plan forever, but to develop an instinct for what your body needs and when it needs it. Once you find that rhythm, it becomes second nature. You'll feel it in your energy focus and how light your body feels day after day. The truth is, sustainable fat loss isn't about cutting more or doing more. It's about sensing with how your body already wants to function. When your hormones work with you, everything else aligns. Your appetite, energy, and metabolism all flow in balance. Protein timing is just the key that unlocks that flow. You don't have to force fat loss when your rhythm is right. Your body does the work for you. When you master timing, your body finally starts working for you, not against you.